Once again, this is what some call crap. This is what some call playing the race card. True or false, that the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference addressed Valdosta City Council, along with President of the NAACP, Lee Touchton, and others, including myself, to talk about the disparity of blacks in city government. Floyd Rose called all the positions out. He talked about how many blacks, how many whites. Lee Touchton did the same thing, stood up here at City Council, as well as at Valdosta City School Board of Education, along with John Robinson and myself and other citizens in our beloved community. And yet, this was not published in our local newspapers and television and radio stations. Once again, is it true or is it false? Moreover, is it true or false that Superintendent Bill Casey denied all the children who attend the Valdosta City school system, banned them from listening to the 44th President of the United States speech, President Barack Obama? Is that true or is that false? Moreover, while we're at it, when the President won his second term as President of the United States of America, was it front page coverage in the Valdosta Daily Times? Or was it on any page in the Valdosta Daily Times following his second bid for President of the United States of America? This is the truth that I give you. I give you truth that others ignore. And you can call it crap, you can call it playing the race card, but I say like Jesus. St. John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set to make you free. As a retired military veteran of 21 years, I took an oath and obligation to defend this country from both foreign and domestic enemies. And anybody that do not want us to know the truth, then they are enemy of this republic. Moreover, is it true or false that in 2004, there was an 1860 disgraceful charter displayed on the second floor, leading into the Honorable Judge Edwards' office, municipal court room, and that charter was finally removed reluctantly by the mayor under John Freddy and councilmen here in these chambers right here? And do you not know that some whites did not see anything wrong with that particular charter? Before I close this out, let me read to you once again, so you can call it the race card, or you can call it the crap. But I will assure you that all I have ever done and intend to do in the future is to educate the American people. You can call it what you want, but I'm bent on maintaining the truth of our beloved nation. If we stand for truth, justice, and equality for all people, then we must do that, or we must take our flag down. Let me tell you what that disgraceful charter said before I had it removed in 2004 by a majority vote. Yet, many whites, or several whites, failed to vote in favor of removal. And now we don't know where it's filed at. Here's what it said. It said that the mayor and council shall pass all proper and necessary laws and ordinances for the control of slaves and free persons of color, and to control, suppress, and abate all nuisances arising from hogs, dogs, horses, and other animals straying at large in Valdosta, Georgia. Now, you can call that a lie. You can call it crap. You can call it and say that I'm playing the race card. But now you have the rest of the story. And since now people are beginning to question what we are doing, because people are becoming educated on what the New South looked like. People in Canada now getting a true picture of what a real democracy looked like. Is it true or is it false that Valdosta and Lowndes County are leading the state of Georgia in jail deaths? 31 from 1994 to 2009, and from 2009 to 2013, no one knows, because it's not being reported. The Justice Department under Eric Holder are aware of it. Georgia Secretary of State are aware of it. Governor Nathan Deal is aware of it. People have been, the city council, the county commissioners are aware, but what are they doing about it? That means that these military veterans, many of them was military veterans, and yet we say we love our veterans. So is that a fact? Is that true or is that false? We had better wake up, or we are going to lose this republic. Moreover, have a finish it. On May the 24th, a 14-year-old black girl was tackled by a Lowndes County Sheriff Deputy Atkins and accused of striking an educator. The educator produced a statement in writing that this 14-year-old never struck a teacher. Yet the mother and father say they still have not received any justice in that case, and now they got to use their money to fight accusations made against their child that just don't make sense according to them. When their daughter was defending herself, she was not the aggressor. Now, you can say that I'm playing the race card. When I publish that to you, when your only newspaper, the Valdosta Daily Times, your local South Georgia television stations have totally ignored that. It is as if though that is irrelevant to the mothers, the fathers, the sisters, and the brothers who have children. They're just saying that don't matter. Much like my criminal trespass warning on May the 25th, the day following that 14-year-old girl incident at Pine Grove Middle School. On May the 25th, I was stopped by a Lowndes County Sheriff deputy by the name of Thomas, who said I had been on a 2-week criminal trespass warning without my notification or any justification. And the Valdosta Daily Times, our only newspaper, let me repeat, it's the only daily newspaper locally that we have here. They haven't reported that to the general public. So that means that our people or our airmen at Moody Air Force Base, students at our higher levels of learning, or people who visit here could be picked up under a criminal trespass warning and restricted from any school activities in Lowndes County when they haven't violated no law. What kind of sense does that make? But even more important than that is that the people who pay taxes here in Valdosta, Lowndes County, and the state of Georgia don't know nothing about what happened. That means that we must go back to taxation without representation. I know we're talking about freedom of the press, but look, if the people here don't know what's going on in their beloved community, that means that you could be picked up, stopped for criminal trespassing, and because there was no publication of it, you don't know nothing about it. So you can't really fight about it. You can't fight it. In fact, as a young lady, you can't even stand up for your own children. In fact, the local pastors, the local imams, the local rabbis, the local priests can't even pray for the mothers and fathers' children who may have been caught up in incidents such as that because they don't know nothing about it, because we don't have a news media that will report it. When it comes to open government, if we stand at city council meetings and if the Valdosta Daily Times does not report what takes place at these meetings, then that means the people at Moody Air Force Base, Valdosta State University, Wiregrass Technical College, Georgia Military College, Wild Adventure Theme Park, and other people that visit our community, they won't know what's going on. And so this is why it's so important for me to keep doing what I'm doing. I know you don't like this. You call it crap, or you call it playing the race card. But look, if it is indeed the truth, why don't you say to me, he reminds me of Jesus? Why don't you say, he reminds me of Moses? Why don't you say, he reminds me of Muhammad? Why don't you say, he reminds me of Elijah Muhammad? Why don't you say, he reminds me of the real followers of Buddha? Or why don't you say, he reminds me of the greatest men and women that ever came through here? And if you don't say that, it's okay, because I understand you. I understand that there are a segment of people, they're in the clique and among the slicks, who don't want you educated. They want to keep you deaf, dumb, and blind for control. And so you will continue to dip. You will duplicate Jesus. You will imitate Muhammad. You will placate the rest of them. But when it comes down to standing up on the square of truth, and the square of truth is nothing more than the truth of our Creator. We refuse to measure ourselves by the plumb line of justice. The plumb line of justice teaches rectitude of life. That means if you want your neighbor to be safe, if you want your family members to have good income, if you want your children to graduate from some prestigious college and return here to Valdosta, Georgia, you want them to have equal access when it comes to being employed as a salesperson over at Miller Hardware, or Office Max, or Home Depot, or Walmart, or Sam's Club, or wherever it may be. And so this is all I have ever represented. I started doing this in '75. I'm not a novice at this. You can't find nothing in any blog, on any new YouTube channel or video that I'm negative and directing venom of hate toward anybody. But what you will find throughout my videos is nothing more than the truth. Because I love you so much until I refuse to punk out under pressure. And if this caused me not to find a job as it has, then that's just fine, that's and dandy with me. You all are not going to support me anyway. You're not going to contribute to what I have done for these many years. You're not going to even tell me thank you for the most part. The reason I know you're not going to tell me thank you is because there was someone greater than me came. Jesus came, rode into the city, and he didn't come on a zebra. He didn't come on an elephant. He didn't come on a giraffe where he could have been higher than everybody else. But he came on a jackass, a donkey. And they say that a donkey make a hellacious noise. But when Jesus rode into the city, he rode into the city on a low-level animal that his daddy created. And the Bible tells us that he came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become known as the sons of God. And so if you reject the truth that I speak, and if you label it the crap, or if you label it as playing the race card, then I'm not going to come out at you with the venom you come out at me with, for truth needs no defense. Truth needs no substantiation. Truth needs no props. The truth is what truth is, and truth is what truth does in the midst of the 21st century. So we can play these silly games, and in the eyes of our children who want right, regardless of whether they're black or white, these white and black right people know the truth when they hear it, and they also know the hypocrite when he see them. Let me repeat. They also know the hypocrites when they see them in positions of power and are unwilling to love and want for their neighbor the same thing that they want and have for themselves and their own children. In many cases, this is not relegated to just white folk, for we have black people who think they have arrived. And do you not know, in some high echelons of the black community, they do not want you, the black man, to have what they have. They feel like they got the edge. They're smarter than you. But what they don't understand and realize is that somebody like me, somebody like you, somebody like Martin King, somebody like John Brown, and other white right people help them to pave the way to get where they are today. But they have forgotten where they came from. And they now are lifted up, staying in gated communities. And they feel like they have arrived. You have not arrived until you have reached self-actualization. And the level, according to Maslow's theory of the hierarchy of needs, self-actualization can only be reached after you have gotten past the survival level. And many blacks and poor whites are down at the bottom trying to survive. And when nobody will employ them, then what do? They break into convenience stores. They rob their neighbors. They do silly and crazy things. Because we all are human beings and we all have needs. We all need an education, just like your children. My children are educated. Your children may be educated, but the neighbor down the street children may not be educated. But when they break into your house and steal, we got to look at the deeper cause of that. If we, and we are, as black African Americans, filling the jails, the prisons, death row, and probation. But the question is, what is the root cause of that? What is the root cause of it? Now, we all can just say they're bad people. But if they're bad people, and if they're mentally ill, then they need treatment. I ain't gonna say medication, but they need something in their brain that will teach them the greatness of who they are, what their people contributed to civilization. And so unless we wake up everybody, sooner or later, we all will have a price to pay. Once again, they call it crap, I call it the truth, you call it what you want, but in the eyes of God, He keeping track and watch over His own because He loves us all. And that's the way it is. I'm in Valdosta, Georgia, and I hope that one day the Valdosta Mayor and City Council will move people from the end of the agenda and show that they care something about citizen participation. I hope they will change the code so we can call them by name and that they can give us answers at these public meetings. And I hope that the Lowndes County Board of Commissioners will stop restricting citizens to one little pyramid shape with cameras and stop having the sheriff to pull people out of the audience if they use their iPhone to record what happens at a public meeting in the state of Georgia. The Ghetto Free Press doing what I do because it must be done. Bye-bye. We go.